out there. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Coda Country Chats. And today with me, I have Britnee Kellogg. How are you today, Britnee?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing well. And for those who are tuning in, this episode's recorded on July 3rd. So happy 4th of July to you, Britnee, and to the listeners out there if you're tuning in a little bit after the fact. But yeah, Independence Day is among us, or upon us, as we say. And what better way to celebrate that than to drop an album? Britnee just released her album, She's Come a Long Way, on June the 28th. I know you must be so excited to talk about the album today.
I am. I'm so proud of this album and all of the songs on it. So I love talking about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's kick right off and let's talk about the title track. I know you released it as a single before it came out on the album, but let's talk about kind of the writing process of that and what inspired you to write the song.
Yeah. I really wanted to write kind of something that just shows when someone has been through it. Kind of one of my biggest things with my music is releasing songs that people can relate to their own personal stories. And I think, I've been through a lot. I'm a mom of 3 and I've kind of been through the ringer and I've come so far. And we really wanted to just kind of write something that was about my journey and how far I've come. And that's where this song came from. And we kind of started talking about it I actually have this picture of me wearing black, and it's this I can see in my eyes just sadness, and it's wild to look at that girl and see how far I've come. So that's kind of what sparked the song.
Wow. I love hearing that background piece of information now, knowing the lyrics and what the song's about and how it sounds. And I did not know that you were a mom of 3. Mom gang here. Yay.
I love it.
Okay. And that kind of brings me to one of the other singles that you released off the album, This Mess, which talks about, being a mom and how, life gets a little messy, right? Let's talk a little bit about that one too.
Yes. My life, I just feel like, especially with, being a working mom and the 3 kiddos, it's just literally constantly a mess. And sharing it with my husband, it's it's our mess, and it's a beautiful mess, and it's great. But, I think anybody that has kids can relate to sticky fingerprints on the refrigerator and spills all the time and laundry sitting on the bed. It's just what life looks like. And I think it's so easy to look at social media and a lot of the influencers, and their lives look so perfect and everything's so tidy and looks just so nice and wrapped in a little bow. And that's just kind of not reality. So I think it's easy to get caught up in oh, I wish my life was that way, and it's just not the reality of what being a parent in a real life situation is. So that's kind of what I wanted to put out there with that song.
I completely agree with that. And I joke with my husband all the time. I'm like, don't invite anybody to my house because you never know what it's going to look like. Or either I will have just cleaned our living room and then our kids just destroy it while I go do something else in 5 minutes. And that's...
Yeah. Or you clean the appliances and then you come back in 2 minutes later and there's just fingerprints all over, and you're it is what it is. It is
what it is. And you made
those fingerprints. I know that.
That's so true. And that's kind of what I was about to say too. You made a really pretty statement there where you said it's not it's a beautiful mess, but it's our mess. And what a statement that is, that as you just said, one day it's not going to be a mess like that anymore. And the kids will clean up after themselves, maybe eventually. I don't know. Mine may not.
I don't know. But my high school boys, I'm losing hope over here.
Come on, boys. But yeah, I'm with you there. Wow, that's such a sweet little backstory. I also wanted to talk about and this is one that you didn't write, so I want to know a little bit about Hell in a Handbag.
Yeah.
because that plus retail therapy to me are some of your like very fun boppy songs on the album. I love them both. Talk to me about how you found Hell in a Handbag.
Yeah, so I am really kind of a brat about releasing songs that aren't mine.
Yeah.
I really my writing is very personal to me, and I really want it to be personal. But I was at the Bluebird Cafe playing a round, and my friend Tori Touye was in the round with me, and she sang that song, and I looked at her and I was like, I need it. I have to have it. The way to hear the crowd at the Bluebird respond to the song was like magic. Like it was just, they loved it. That was so funny. And I was like, it's very Miranda Lambert, which is like one of my big inspirations.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just love it. And she's like, the artist that we wrote it for is going to cut it. And so I can't like let you record it. I was like, dang it. But then she released it, and I didn't let her. She released it. And then I reached out to her after she released it and said, like, can I please put this on my album? And she was very gracious to let me record it. So it's such a fun song. I love it so much. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and that's that's the vibe I caught off of it too. It's very different from some of the stuff that's on your album, but also still fits in that whole collective of the album as a whole. You know what I mean? And so seeing that side by side with Retail Therapy, I was like, yes, these go really well together.
Well, and Tori Touye is who I wrote Retail Therapy with, so that's
perfect.
Totally makes sense. That's why they sound similar, because that's kind of her style.
Absolutely. I love that. I love hearing that. And I love hearing about the writers that you work with and just kind of how that collaboration process takes place. I've talked a lot about the songs that kind of resonated with me. I'd love to turn the tables now and kind of talk about songs that maybe resonated with you or something that you really like, a funny story or something that you have about some of the writing processes on these songs or recording processes or anything like that. I'm opening it up.
Well, I'll tell you funny. Retail Therapy was written during COVID. And it was one of those writes where we were on Zoom. I was living in Washington State at the time, and Tori was in Nashville. Washington was very, very shut down. Like, we were not allowed to leave our house unless we were going to the doctor or the grocery store. It was like, everyone was home. And so basically all we did was drink wine and shop online. Like, my recycling bin started to look a little scary. So we started buying box wine, I'm embarrassed to say, because then we could just shove it in the cardboard bin and no one would know.
Exactly.
But we got on a Zoom and we were like, let's do a happy hour Zoom. It'd be fun. And so we were both had a glass of wine and we're cheersing. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, honestly, like, I was just shopping for clothes. I don't know when I'm going to wear them. And with money I don't have because I'm not playing shows. And we were like, well, Retail Therapy never hurt anybody. And so we started writing about it from that just whole mess of COVID, which is so fun. And then I think, like, for me, the album, it's just, I love, my first concert was Johnny and June when I was 6 years old. And
oh, wow.
I love that. Thank You, Johnny and June. It like starts, you know, the album ends with that because that's where it all started for me. And then the starting song is She's Come a Long Way. So it's like, and then all the in between. So being a mom with Hey Mama and back of my mind, Here and Gone, like the struggles that really are so real in life and marriage and relationships. And then to like the personality songs, like you said, like Love Thy Neighbor, Hell in a Handbag, Retail Therapy. Those are more just like, this is my personality. This is like the bubbly side of me, not the so serious side of me. So I will say probably the most, like the song I love the most on the album is probably either Thank You, Johnny and June or I Matter. Just because those songs are so special to me. My grandparents were a really, really massive part of my life, and they're no longer here. And so it's, you know, bittersweet. When I sang Johnny and June in the studio, I actually, when I did the vocals the first time through, I couldn't breathe. I was crying so hard. And we like got done and they were like, okay, we're not going to use any of that. So I was like, I couldn't breathe. I was trying to sing, but I was crying so hard. And it was really honestly like happy tears, just because thinking about going to that show with my grandparents, and like then now I'm literally recording the vocals on this song for my first album. Like it was just a really special full circle moment for me.
Yeah, full circle moment. Well, and I I don't mean to laugh at you crying, but I just think in my mind I'm envisioning like how this track sounded.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my
gosh, send it to me. Like I kind of want to hear it just because I know it's bad. But it was funny. They're like, okay, well, you got it out. Now you gotta focus. I'm like, okay, here we go.
It's right. But that's what you needed. I feel like that's like a very cathartic moment where you can just sit back and be like, wow, she has come a long way. Here is the penultimate of me releasing this album is we're here, we're recording, we're doing. And, you know, I mean, that's such an awesome story to tell though. And part of your journey there. I'll go back and touch on a little like fun, light thing. You talked about happy hour Zoom. I kind of miss the days when we did those happy hour Zooms. Like I don't want to be like antisocial and stay in my house all day, but part of me loved like calling up my friends when we were sitting at home for so long and just enjoying company in our own home with a glass of wine or whatever and just connecting. Because I feel like now that we have the opportunity to go back out and do all the things and go to shows, and I feel like I don't connect with my friends as much. And that may just be a personal anecdote, but I feel like I'm a proponent of let's bring back happy hour Zoom. Like, I think that'd be super fun.
I think one of the things that I wish during COVID, like, I look back and I'm like, man, I wish we would have, like, gone, we're never going to get this again. Like, we're never going to get this time again to just be home and enjoy each other and go on walks every morning and, like, you know, have the peace and quiet of, like, no sound, you know, like, just being quiet and being with each other. And I think, I mean, I hope we never get that back again. Like, I hope we never have another pandemic in my lifetime. But I agree. Like, it was really, really fun me and my friends would go sit in a parking lot in lawn chairs 6 feet apart and have a glass of wine and like laugh and talk and like air high five when we would leave. And it was so great because it like forced us to connect. We had nothing to do other than be with each other, you know? And I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So now that pandemic is over and we're out and we're doing all the things, tell me what else you have going on in 2024. What is your roadmap look like as far as tour stops go or show dates go in promotion of the album?
Yeah. I mean, people are like, are you going on tour? I'm always on the road. I don't really.
So yes.
I'm just always touring. So yeah, I definitely have a ton of tour dates that I'm doing. So they can check my website for all those dates. But as far as like what's next or how I'm promoting the album, like it's funny, you know, you release it and then and I've actually been like waiting for this to come out for like 2 years or something crazy.
Yay!
So it's funny, like obviously it's so special to me, but I'm like, okay, I'm ready for what's next because these songs to me are 2 years old. So I'm like, okay,
I feel you. Yeah.
Time to get to the next one, but I need to be better about like living the moment and enjoying the process because I just want to keep releasing music and putting more out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So knowing a little bit more about the album, and you just talked about, you know, how you've been living with these songs for a while. When you're performing them live or even when you're, you know, doing promo and stuff like that, what keeps the songs current and fresh for you when you present them like to a new audience or to a new, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I always have to remember that a lot of these people are just hearing these songs for the first time. And obviously a lot of the songs are literally not even a week old yet. At the shows, I had my album release here in Portland, Oregon last Saturday, the day after the album released. And the fans are truly like what make it come alive for me. Like, and I'm always shocked because, you know, of course, like when people sing the words to your songs, it's like, wow, that's really crazy. This was very unexpected. I was singing Love Thy Neighbor. And when the chorus came, the crowd just like, I mean, I didn't even need to sing the words. It was so massively loud. And
Oh, wow.
I was surprised because back in my mind always is one that, you know, that's my most streamed song. And so that one's always screamed, but like Love Thy Neighbor was a shock to me. I was like, what? It was just so awesome to like hear people resonate. And so the fans, like we just did a run in Washington State, a 4-show theater run. And that was really special because the album hadn't come out yet. And a lot of these songs were songs that no one had heard before. Yeah. And actually one of the songs, King of Legoland, that isn't on the album is about my autistic son. And every single show, that song got a standing ovation. And it was like, this song is, to me, several years old. I wrote it, gosh, probably 4 years ago. Wow. But to them, like, it's their first time hearing it, or maybe it's their first time hearing it live. And so that it's just special when the crowd relates to the songs. And I actually had a older gentleman come up to older, like in his 20s, not young anymore, come up to me and say, like, I was that little kid playing with Legos and now I'm the marketing director for this venue. Like, but he's on the spectrum, and like the song, he was just sobbing. And he's like, this song like is so special, and thank you for writing a song for us kids that are different. So that, like, truly the fans, the people hearing the music, like they make it like sound like the song is brand new again.
Wow.
Yeah.
How refreshing that is, though, to know that your impact kind of travels wherever you go. And that's got to be just, I don't know, almost rejuvenating in a way.
It's really special. Super special.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. I did want to talk a little bit about, because we've talked about several different locations, and I kind of, I want you to give me like a timeline. Because when we first started the call, I asked like, where are you calling from? And you said in Vancouver, Washington, but you live in Arizona, and then you also travel back and forth to Nashville. So let's talk a little bit about, one, where you grew up and all of that. What kind of got you into country music, and what kind of your roadmap looks like, if you were to give like a pretty standard, like, I have to be here this day and I have to be here this day, as far as the commitments for the job, you know what I mean?
Yes. So born and raised in Vancouver, Washington. I'm actually at my mom's house right now.
Yay.
Staying with my mom. I have several shows. That's kind of why a lot of my shows are up here, just because this is where I'm from, and I'm really grateful for the support up here. But born and raised in Vancouver, Washington, got married really young to my high school sweetheart, had 2 boys, and then that relationship just it was really never a high quality relationship. Infidelity, it was just not a good relationship. And so we separated when I was pregnant with our second son. And then really, like, where country music started for me, if I can like back up a tiny, is Johnny and June. Like, I had the concert experience at 6 years old. And I feel like for me, I'm so lucky that like that night I literally looked at my grandma and I said, that's what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Like, I don't need to go to school actually tomorrow, because I don't need math to do what they're doing. And really, truly, from that moment, music was my entire life, and started taking voice lessons and doing competitions and talent shows. And so when I got married, that kind of all went by the wayside. My whole plan was to move to Nashville as soon as I graduated high school. And then, you know, I don't want to say typical, but a lot of times in a high school relationship, there's a lot of jealousy and trust, and like, because you're young and you don't, and that he just wasn't supportive of that. And so I kind of just followed him and pursued his dreams and had babies, and then very quickly realized that like the minute we separated, that I was like, I have to get back on the wagon. And so unfortunately, moving to Nashville was not an option. Couldn't move out of state without his consent. And so because of just our tumultuous relationship, there has never been consent to move. And so I just had stayed and commuted, and I went to Nashville as often as I could. Once a month. I spent about half time for a while going back and forth. Did American Idol in there as well a couple times. And Now my husband's job actually relocated us to Arizona. And so I'm like a little bit closer to Nashville. We were able to get approval to move because of that job relocation. So that was great. So I'm a little closer. So it's like a 2-hour direct flight as opposed to 5 hours nonstop. And so it's great. But now it's just logistically, it's kind of wild because I'm here and then I'm there. And it's because I'm not in Nashville, there's a lot of moving parts all the time. I was actually like buying flights this morning and I was like, this is insane because I'm like I don't even know like where I'm going to be on any given day. So it's kind of wild. Yeah.
But I mean, it says a lot. And, you know, I'm going to say this as a working mom too. I feel like working moms, man, we don't get enough credit. I feel like we don't just because, you know, there's so many things that are kind of expected of us as women. You know, we kind of, you know, take a lot of the burden on. And so I'm really thankful that you told me that story about coming back to your dream. And it seems like you put a pin in it for a long time. And then, you know, once you finally saw the light and you were able to get away from that relationship, I feel like that is kind of, I don't know, exactly what you needed, the push almost to make it or break it, you know? So I'm really glad you told me all of that because that is just, it's such a testament to your incredible journey and the album that you created just now. And I mean, wow, it's awesome.
Thank you. It's been a journey. And you know, with my boy's dad, it's like, we're finally at a point where like we communicate well and like he's their dad. And I, you know, of course respect that. And I know that, it's just hard. Relationships are hard, you know, and getting married young, people change. It's been, you know, 18 years since I left, or 16 years since I left. Yeah. So it's just crazy. It's wild how time flies and you kind of just look back and you're like, wow, that relationship was terrible, but he promised the same thing, you know, like we were so young. We were so young.
And you live and you learn and that's what it is, you know, and thank goodness for second chances and unanswered prayers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And country music, because you know you write about
country music.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right. Oh my gosh. Well, Britnee, I applaud you for being so vulnerable on the episode with me because this, I mean, it takes a lot of guts to just kind of tell a story like that, and I'm really glad that you shared that with me.
Thank you.
And share that with the listeners that are going to tune in and listen here because I'm sure there are a lot of folks out there that could probably relate to high school sweethearts and shared time with kids and that kind of thing. So yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. This has been so wonderful. And I can't wait to go and stream all of the album again. I love doing a first listen and kind of like hearing each little track and just being like, oh, I like that. Ooh, I like that right off first. But now I get to like deep dive, especially now that I've heard all the stories from you. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I know you talked about your website a little bit before in the episode. Could you shout out your social media handles and how we can find you online so we can follow along?
Yep. Literally everything is under Britnee Kellogg, all one word. My website's BritneeKellogg.com. And then all my socials are just at Britnee Kellogg.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Britnee Kellogg, and she just released her album entitled She's Come a Long Way. Make sure you download, stream, find it wherever you can on the digital streaming platforms. And you just heard about it here on Coda Country Chats. Y'all have a great day. Thank you again.